Hello, good morning. It is a Monday morning motivation once again. And you know what? This color of light is bothering me. Alexa, set black lamp to blue.
The black lamp isn't responding. Please check if the manual switch is turned on.
Well, there we go. Apparently, that's why the black lamp won't change to blue. So, oh well. I guess we're just going to be a little bit orange today, guys. So, appreciate you tolerating that. And if you guys have any idea about the subject matter of this, little details like that bother me a little bit. But that's all right. How's everybody doing today? It is a beautiful day in Nashville. Hope you guys are having a beautiful day wherever you are. If you are brand new to the channel and you just stumbled across this and you're going, who the heck is this guy with the hair? My name is Chris, and I am better known as Chris Cooking Nashville here on YouTube, and I use a proper human diet to, as a bunch of you now know, I'm trying to get whatever this is out of my hair. As you guys know, I use a proper human diet to not only have lost about 130 pounds and deal with a whole bunch of metabolic issues, but also because of the recent video that I just released, you guys know that the proper human diet is helping me regulate my brain and deal with autism and ADHD and OCD and bipolar, personality disorder, CPTSD, all of the fun things that go along with the full alphabet of diagnoses that I have told you guys that I have received and been working on. And we've been dealing with this whole process and learning how to regulate all of this and research and understanding this for about the last 8 months. And it is finally something that I have been able to share publicly, and we are going to be talking a whole bunch more about it, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit more info about it today. If you have questions about it or you want to know more about any of the various things that go into this and how I got here or what it is I'm doing on a daily basis, feel free to drop them in the chat. You guys put it in the chat that you are here. Let me know where you're watching from. Say hello, especially if you're brand new to the channel. Let me know you are here. Would love to chat with you guys. And if you guys are wondering where my lovely, amazing wife, Ash, is, she is actually cleaning and doing some other stuff in the house right now. And just because of our schedule and some projects that she has going on, she is probably for the foreseeable future going to be doing other things on Mondays. She will still maybe pop in from time to time for Monday morning motivation, but a lot of it is probably just going to be me for a little while. She just has a bunch of stuff she is doing. She is booking shows for next year. If you guys don't know, she is a musician, a professional recording artist, and I'm also a professional musician, and so I play lead guitar for her. So we go on tour and we play all around the country, and she is booking shows. We're getting ready to release a music video I have to edit for her that we just filmed, and she has things to do on the music side, and there's just too many projects for her to always be able to sit in on Monday mornings, at least for the foreseeable future. So she'll come in when she can, but she won't necessarily be here every Monday. But we are so glad that you guys are here hanging out with us, and she sends love to all of you guys. So let's see who's here. Let's say hello, and we will dive into the chat. If you have questions, if you want to know anything regarding the neurodivergence of my brain and the things I've been doing, the testing process, what I'm doing to regulate any of that stuff. I'm going to be releasing videos on all of this, but feel free to ask those questions here. I am an open book, and now that you guys all know, hopefully, what the deal is, if you haven't seen that video, I literally just released it 2 days ago on the channel. Go watch it. But if you have any questions about that and you don't want to wait for the videos to come out as I start releasing them over time, drop it in the chat. We'll talk about it today. So let's see who's here. Carrie is here, says, first, what do you call a cheeseburger that tells jokes? A funny bun. There you go, Carrie. I like it. Appreciate you being here. Brother Jeff Cox is in the house. He's a member of our private community called The Band. Not just from a proper human diet standpoint, but now from a neurodivergent standpoint. It is a great place for people to have support and community, and I do extra content, some extra recipes, live streams, Q&As, all kinds of things. We all are just a big family over there, and interestingly, there's a number of neurodivergent people in there, which I guess they just kind of were drawn to my channel and my group, and we all connected because even before I knew I was neurodivergent. We just related to each other. So we have a great community over there. Would love for you guys to join. The link is in the description box, I believe. If it's not, I will make sure that it is. But you can go to my website, which is linked in the description box, chriscookingnashville.com. Click the thing at the top of the page that says join the band. Would love to have you guys in the community. It is fantastic. But Jeff is a very active member over there and a huge supporter, and he has known about what I'm going through with all this and has been a fantastic support system. He says, hey, PhD and Neurospicy fam, quick stop in to say what I always say, slammed at work, catch the replay tonight. Really looking forward to this one. I so wish I could catch it live and interact with Jeff. Thank you, my brother, for all of your support and everything you do. Have an amazing day at work. Please don't work too hard, and we'll see you on the replay, my friend. Lynn is here, 22QCat. Good morning, Chris, Ash, and everyone. It's good to see you, Lynn. Hope you're doing well. Janelle, our rock star moderator, says, good morning, everyone. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons and show some love. Yes, please do so. Hit that thumbs up. Let us know you are here. Tell YouTube that this is a cool thing by hitting the thumbs up and just telling everybody that you like what it is we're doing here. That helps us out immensely. Janelle also says, please visit the Chris Cooking Nashville studio channel and like and subscribe there too. Yes, please do so. Eventually, I still do all of this stuff on the main channel here, but eventually I would love for things like Monday Morning Motivation and health-related videos, that kind of stuff, to be just on that studios channel, and then all the food would remain here on the main channel. I'm still doing everything on the main channel and the studios channel when it's appropriate, just because that channel's not big enough for people to know that it's there, and I don't want people to miss out on things. But eventually we would like to move that there. I also have linked in the description box a brand new channel that I have done, and I'm going to pull up just a little bit of an image here for you. Here we go. Yes, there is a brand new channel that I'm starting called That Chris, and this is where I'm going to share a little bit about the neurodivergent stuff. It's not just about that, but it's definitely going to include that. I'm also going to share just living life with passion and trying to find success and joy and happiness and all these things. Yes, while being neurodivergent, but while doing all these things I do. It's not really specifically keto and carnivore, although it will include some of that, but it's a way for me to kind of bring together a lot of different places and groups of people on the internet all into one location where we can all encourage and support each other and have fun and have joy and passion. And it's a place for me to just be myself and share with you guys all of the craziness that is Chris. Not Chris Cooking Nashville, that's specifically keto carnivore stuff, just that Chris. That Chris. That's all it is. It's just me and being my crazy self, and I would love for you guys to join me over there. If you have not subscribed and if you're interested in things like that, it is in the description box. Please feel free to go over there and subscribe. If you're not interested in that, don't bother subscribing, because then when my videos pop up, you'd never watch them, and then that would tell YouTube the videos aren't good, and it would be assistive. It would not actually help. So if you're interested in stuff like that, though, and you want to see like all of the craziness that is our lives, go over there and subscribe. We'll show you things like life on the road when Ash and I are out, taking the dog out. We're going to Dollywood on Wednesday, and I'm going to take some clips and show you guys kind of how we go and have a good time and all the craziness and just what my life is like. And if you like that kind of stuff, that will be there. So would love for you guys to join me on that channel if that's something you would like. Linked in the description box. So Brother Marty Crum is here. Good morning, Marty. Says, happy Monday, Chris and Ash. We saw Marty at Low Carb for Better Health, and it was so good to meet you and your beautiful wife. Thank you so much for just everything you do, Marty. We really appreciate you and your support. Glad you are here. Carrie says, I was way early this morning, cooked in the oven pork for carnitas, used 2 forks on it. It was so good, no seasonings. That's awesome, Carrie. Sounds tasty. There's another moderator and just a beautiful just family member, honestly, at this point. Cindy DeManch. Hello to Cindy, and Brian, I'm sure, is there too. We love Cindy, and she and Brian were some of the first people that knew about this whole neurodivergent diagnosis. We had a wonderful chat and lunch with them, and it was great to just have their support from the very beginning. So thank you for being here, Cindy. We love you guys. There's Mom in Nashville. Mom here from ISS. Hello, everyone. Hello, Mom. Hope you are having a good day at work. Let's see. Lonnie, or Lanny, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing you. Morning, Chris and Ash. Well, hello. We're so glad that you are here. Hope you're having a good morning. Jolene is here. Hi, everyone. God's blessings for an amazing day. Same to you, Jolene. Crow is here. Good morning, Crow, from the Great Northwest. The amazing Maritza Garza is in the house. Hello, Maritza. Good morning to you. I hope you're doing well. Denise A is here. Good morning, Denise. There's Debbie Purple Lovin' Nana says morning all. Hello, Debbie. There's my brother doing it wrong, Lewis Stone. Howdy, y'all. Good to see you, Lewis. Another one of our band members. We have so many band members in the chat all the time, and it just means so much to have you guys here. It really, really does. Richard Williams. Hello, neighbor in Copper Hill. How are you today? Charlie Darth Carnivore is here. Says, hey, Chris and Ash. Great seeing both of you at Low Carb for Better Health. Crossed off one of my bucket list items. Eat food made by Chris Cook in Nashville himself. Thanks. Charlie, you're very, very sweet, my friend. It was so great getting to hang out with you. And yeah, I was at Low Carb for Better Health. Amanda Decker put that together, and it was fantastic. We had such a great time. She did an amazing job with that event. And I got to work with the meat sponsor, Route 22 Meats, and I got to cook up some meat samples they brought and share some of that with some folks. And it was very successful, and everybody seemed to love the meat. I actually used some of my CCN seasoned salt, which is a brand new recipe, and people were going nuts over that. And I was so appreciative of all of the wonderful complimentary remarks. It was so cool seeing how much everybody loved that. Now, as a result of that, Ash and I are actually thinking of looking into how we could package and sell the Chris Cooking Nashville seasoning. If you guys would be interested in that, drop it in the chat. If you would like us to package and sell that, let me know. Is that something you're interested in? Would you like us to put that together and have the option to buy some CCN salt? It's amazing on steaks, but it goes really well on honestly anything. Any meats, eggs, if you're into the keto thing, the veggies are amazing with it. I mean, all of it. So let me know. Are you interested in some CCN salt? Put that in the chat. We would love to know how many of you guys would like something like that. And if it's a thing that people would love, I'd be happy to look into it, see if we could package that up and send that out for folks who still choose to use seasonings like that on their proper human diet. Aaron is here, average keto, carnivore-ish guy. I hope you are well. I have to catch up on videos. Busy time of year. I understand, Aaron. There's a lot of them out there, so it's tough to keep up with everything that goes on in the community sometimes, because so many interesting videos will come out, and there's just so many hours in the day. So really glad you're here, Aaron. Appreciate you, and hope you enjoy catching up on all the great videos that are out there. Jesus and Carnivore is here. Hello, my sweet friend. We got to meet her at Low Carb for Better Health. Love seeing you and Ash this weekend. We love seeing you too. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you are having an amazing Monday. And let's see, everybody just saying hello to everybody. There's Matt, DJ Magic Man. Morning, Chris, fellow PhD members. Good to see you, brother. How are you? And Debbie says, where's your lovely wife and pooch? Yeah, I think I answered that, but yeah, Ash is cleaning and the pooch is hanging out with her because she's a mama's girl and she likes to hang out with mom all around the house while mom is cleaning some stuff up. So yeah, I love having Ash in here and having her be a part of Monday mornings, but there's just too many projects for us to always be able to do these together. So at least for now, she's going to focus on some of the music stuff we have going on, because as great as the Chris Cook in Nashville stuff is and all this YouTube stuff and everything, and then of course there's going to be the That Chris channel and everything, as great as all of that stuff is, I want to see her succeed at her music and get to be the artist she's always dreamed of being and succeeding there too, which it just takes time and some focus. And I go and play guitar for her, but then I have to step away and do this stuff, so she gets to come and be a part of things with Chris Cooking Nashville, but then the time she has to step away too. So yeah, it's really good. It's a really, really good thing that she's as busy as she is with all that, because that means people are interested and they're paying attention. So it's a good thing. ashtaylor.com, by the way, so you can find all of the things that she is working on. Pamela is here. Pamela Spain, watching from Oklahoma. Hello, Pamela. Glad you're here. And there is the beautiful Aunt Kay. Hi, Aunt Kay. How are you this morning? And there's Lynn Reed. Hi, Chris and Tribe from North Texas. Lynn, it's so good to see you. I hope North Texas is treating you well today. Erin says she needs to tour up in Buffalo, New York. Hey, if you know venues that are willing to book her and pay, like, shoot those names our way, man. We'd love to come up that way. Sandy is here. Hi, Chris, watching from North Florida. Saw your video. It touched my heart. Sandy, thank you so much. I'm really glad. It's a really important thing to share the things you are going through and be open and raw and honest with people, because a major part of what I do here is about transparency. I want you guys to know what we're going through, because I'm not perfect and my journey is not perfect and nobody else's is either. And if we all can talk about it and not have shame over the things we may struggle with from time to time, but we can actually share our ups and downs and we can support each other, we can all succeed together a lot better. And that's the goal. So I appreciate you watching, and I'm glad that it meant so much to you. There is Janelle, being a rock star, dropping in ashtaylor.com. Please make sure to go to that website and find all of Ash's stuff, because she deserves all of the attention. If you love country music and songwriting things and just amazing music in general, storytelling, and you want to hear me play a little guitar and all of that, that's a great place to go and find all of her stuff. So Jay Ennis is here from Idaho. Hello, my friend. Good to see you. Let's see. Good question here. Charlie says, when you came to your psychologist thinking you'd get one diagnosis, did you suspect you'd get more, or was it more of a surprise? So this is a really good question. As we were going through all of this diagnosis process, we basically, Ash and I talked about all this, and I took some home assessments, like self-assessment stuff, which I'm going to be sharing in a future video, and I'll have links and all that kind of stuff. So you guys, if you're interested in looking at these things, doing a self-assessment and just kind of seeing if maybe like, hey, I relate to this, could this be me? I'll show you the links to the ones that I did. And so we did these home assessments, and I got really, really high scores on all of them, which is basically like, you're very likely autistic. You should probably, consider seeking a professional diagnosis if that is important to you. And there's a lot of things in the autism world, the neurodivergent world, where self-assessment and self-diagnosis is actually really well accepted, because it can be very difficult to get professionally diagnosed, especially if you're high functioning and high masking like I am. So we went through these self-assessments, and I just kind of started operating from the standpoint of, yes, I believe I'm autistic. I am going to go through a professional diagnosis process, but I'm going to not wait for that. I'm going to start implementing right now things, strategies, doing research, whatever, to try to figure out how to help, because I don't want to wait all this time before I actually start to do anything about it. So, and I figured if I started doing it and none of this is working, maybe that would be an indication that I actually wasn't. So we just kind of operated from the standpoint that I was high-functioning autistic and started implementing. But as I was doing more research, it was a few weeks before my actual professional evaluation. I had multiple appointments and all this kind of stuff, but there was one day in particular, it was like the whole day, hours of assessment and all this kind of stuff that day. And it took us months to get that all set up. It was very, very difficult. And I'll give you more details in videos coming in the future of how that all happened. But a few weeks before I did this big, long day of assessment amongst all the other days, I actually started seeing things pop up in Facebook and YouTube, because I'd been watching videos by neurodivergent creators trying to learn. And so stuff started popping up about ADHD, which is autism and ADHD together. It's actually something that they're now considering maybe they need a separate diagnosis, because there's autism, there's ADHD, or if you have both, maybe that needs to be its own diagnosis. They're not really quite sure yet. They're still looking into this, but it is a very different combination to have both versus just one or the other, or if one is predominant or the other's predominant. But if you have both in a mix, totally different things. So I started seeing stuff pop up about ADHD and just ADHD in general, but I never thought that I had any of that kind of thing, because I wasn't hyperactive. I wasn't like, as a kid, I wasn't like that hyper misbehaved kind of thing we associate with ADHD. But way, way more research has expanded the idea of what ADHD really is, and they've seen that it actually encompasses a lot more. And so you may not be hyperactive externally, but you can be hyperactive internally, and it's called inattentive ADHD, where you kind of have a hard time focusing on certain things because internally your brain is going all over. And I realized this is my brain. And so I started watching things. So I was like, okay, yeah, I think I'm autistic and have ADHD. I'm definitely AUDHD. And so for a few weeks, I was researching leading up to my big assessment, or that one main day of the assessment. And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely autistic. I'm pretty sure it's the ADHD as well. And that was it. But then as I go through all of this, and then they're asking me different questions related to other things, which through my research, I kind of was like, I think this is measuring, am I OCD? Am I something else? So when I ended up getting the diagnosis and I had the OCD and the bipolar and the personality disorder in there, that honestly, that caught me off guard. I kind of was like maybe OCD because the psychologist, the first interview I had with him where we sat and talked, some things that he asked and said kind of made me go, I wonder if he thinks maybe I might have some OCD tendencies because of certain things I'm very picky about. But the kind of things that go with OCD, it's not just being picky about things or being like really specific and regimented and exact. It's also like intrusive thoughts and things that honestly are horrible things that pop into your brain and you're not sure why. And I definitely experienced that too. And I just have always assumed that's how everybody is, and apparently not. So, there's a lot of other things that go into that. So I was like, maybe, but I wasn't really sure. Bipolar, I had absolutely no inkling that there would be any kind of diagnosis like bipolar. Personality disorder, I didn't even know what it was until I did the research, and it's like, oh, personality disorder has developed from all of this undiagnosed stuff and the bipolar and the everything else. So there's layers to all of this, and that was really helpful to have the psychologist help me like actually peel all of this apart and figure out what's going on and what are the different things that may simultaneously be causing things. And truthfully, if I was like not regulated and not managing things with a keto carnivore kind of viewpoint of the world, if I was going through a bunch of medication and a bunch of traditional therapy and all this kind of stuff, trying to get all of this stuff done, they would probably have to really pick apart which thing is which. Now, I'm so regulated and managing so well, truthfully, and a lot of that is because of keto carnivore, but then a lot of it's also because of what I've been doing over the last 8 months. Because of that, I don't necessarily know if I care a lot about which element is specifically coming from which thing. And unless it gets worse, I don't think it really matters. As long as I'm managing it and I've got it all figured out to where it's like, I'm good, I don't really think I need to pick it apart any more than that. But if I need to, it's nice to know all of that is there so that I could work with somebody. Now, I am doing some therapy, but it is not a traditional kind of therapy, and I'm happy to tell you guys more about that. I'll definitely be doing videos on it because it is not the sit and talk with a therapist for an hour once a week and relive all of the trauma and all this other kind of stuff. The other thing that came from the psychologist doing this that I did not in any way see coming, but I really appreciate, is the CPTSD. It's the trauma. It's complex post-traumatic stress. And essentially, it's like, Charlie and I were actually talking about this at Low Carb for Better Health. PTSD is when you have an incident or maybe several incidents that it's like these things have created a trauma response. And now I'm triggered when things remind me of those instances. CPTSD is complex PTSD. And essentially, it's little traumas that build up over time in multiple stages of your life. And they all the way I described it in my brain is it almost goes into a bucket where all of the things that are similar kinds of things go into one bucket. And so you have buckets that each of them has hundreds of little miniature traumas in it that all build up and act like one great big trauma. So yeah, I definitely have a PTSD trigger type response to certain things. It's one of the things that has really improved because of the therapy that I'm doing that is not the way most therapy is. It's fantastic, and I'll tell you guys more about that. But I have really dealt with a lot of that stuff to where I do not trigger. the way that I did, and I would have never thought about having trauma and like a CPTSD kind of thing, but it makes a lot of sense, and it's actually very common in people who are undiagnosed for autism, ADHD, all this stuff, because you go through your life being criticized, being isolated, not feeling like you fit in, not knowing how to handle things, being dysregulated, all this, and you think it's all your own fault. You don't know that there's something going on that you could be doing something about because you think this is how everyone is, and somehow you're just a failure at keeping it together. And so it's horribly, horribly invalidating of who you are as a human being. And when you finally realize it and understand it, you've held on to all these little things for decades. And that's part of what autism does. In the brain, these little things, you hang on to them. And ADHD is this way too. You hang on to these little things. You cannot let it go. You know, people in comment sections are like, ignore the bullies, ignore the comments, ignore this, ignore that. Just let it go. You can't. That's part of what goes on in the brain with these things. You can't just let it go. I'd love to just let it go. But you have to learn how, and you have to learn to be regulated, because when you're not regulated, you can't just let it go. Your brain physiologically cannot do that. It is part of what makes autism and ADHD and other forms of neurodivergence what they are. And there's brain scans that show actually why that is a little bit, and we can talk more about that in the future, because I feel like this is a whole series we're going to be talking about a lot, but you can't just let it go, as it were. And I would love nothing more than be able to do that, but it's just not how it works. And I know nobody means anything by that, but when they say, oh, just let that go, it's hard to hear that from people sometimes, because I know they don't mean anything by it, but it's kind of like you're just holding on to it. That's just because of what you're doing, so just stop doing that thing you're doing. And it's kind of like it's like looking at me and saying, just stop being autistic. It just doesn't work that way. So yes, that is a very info dump, long autistic answer, Charlie, that when I went to the psychologist, I did not think I would get anything beyond autism, probably ADHD, and maybe OCD. Because those all co-occur very, very frequently. It is a very high rate of having multiple of those things that are together. They're co-occurring very, very frequently. The personality disorder, the bipolar, the CPTSD never even crossed my mind. That's why for me, the professional diagnosis was not just about the online thing, but so good, because I was able to learn so much more about what I was actually going through. Fantastic, fantastic resource. It made a huge difference for me. So, excellent question, Charlie. Thank you for that. Lynn says, fellow neurodivergents here. Hubs and I are both ADHDers. Well, hello, Lynn, and live it loud, my friend. I am so glad that we can all be on this journey together. And thank you for your support. And just thank you for being part of the community, because when we are all here together, we all feel seen, we feel like we belong, and that is a really important thing to have. So thank you, Lynn. Rockin' Keto Amy, or Rockin' Coach Amy now. Sorry, I'm late. Was on a work call. Hi, Chris, Ash, and Mel. It's good to see you, Amy. We're so glad you're here. Janice says, Chris, listened to you on Saturday. I love it. Thank you so, so much. There's Cranky Carnivore Cutler. Greetings from Tucson. Good to see you, my friend. Glad you're here. And Sandy says, that Chris, I already subscribed. Thank you, Sandy. Appreciate that very much. I'm really, really looking forward to sharing things with you guys on that Chris. It's going to be really, really good. It's going to be a lot of fun, too. It's not just about informational videos. It's going to be about fun videos. And this is cool. So Debbie says, at Rockin' Coach Amy, changed your YouTube handle? And Amy says, yes, I'm in the Dr. Barry's coaching class. Amy, congrats. I'm so glad, and I think that's going to be so great. I'm looking forward to hearing what you think of that when it's done, because I don't have the time to do it right now because of the cookbook and everything else, but hopefully at some point I would love to be able to go through that in the future and maybe chat with Nisha and Dr. B about that and see if they would like for me to do that, especially because I'm the culinary coach in the PhD group, and so I don't really do the health stuff. I don't coach that way. I coach for the kitchen, for people, doing private stuff in the tribe. But I think it would be really good for me to just have their course under my belt, so that everything I do just also has that undertone. It would be a great thing, and it would make my life, I'm sure, that much more stable too. Denise has a question. How long did it take for you to get your diagnosis? So from the time Ash talked with me about this until I actually was able to get in for the process was probably almost 4 to 5 months. That was like, I had to go in for like pre-evaluations. We had to do paperwork. I had to do assessments. I had to do all this stuff online. Then I had to go in and meet with a psychologist, have an initial interview. Then based on that interview, he decided, yes, you do need to have an actual formal evaluation. So it's like you have to have self-assessment and paperwork evaluations and set everything up. Then you have to have a pre-evaluation meeting, which is like a mini evaluation. Then you have to have a full real evaluation. Then they have to review everything. And then the psychologist sits down and has a diagnosis meeting with you where they actually go through everything. And it is a process, folks. It is no wonder this is so hard. And especially all of this stuff requires all this executive function. Phone calls, emails, follow-ups, text messages, schedules, times, places, it's insane to think that someone who maybe is on their own dealing with all of these issues with autism, ADHD, things they struggle with, if you don't have someone to help, you got to do all that on your own. Like, no wonder it's going to take you forever to get this done, and it's such a struggle. And I'm going to be frank with you guys. It's expensive because insurance didn't hardly cover anything, because this is considered diagnostic type work, not something I already have. So I had to pay for all of this out of pocket because insurance is like, well, you don't actually have any diagnosis, so there's no reason that we would cover any of this. It's not preventative. It's not treating something you have a diagnosis for, any of this. So, it really sucks. It's like you have to have a diagnosis for insurance to cover this, but you have to go get the diagnosis for the insurance to be willing to cover the things, because without the diagnosis, the insurance won't cover anything. Like, it's expensive and it's difficult. So it was about a 6.5, almost 7 month process. So it was a lot. That's why I'm so glad that it's done and I can finally talk about this with you guys. And, it's been about a month and a half since I got the formal diagnosis, and I've just been intentionally doing things, getting everything set up to where I could tell you all. So, yeah, it's a big process, but that's why it's important we have this information out there, why I'm sharing things, why we advocate for people. We try to provide resources to help people. Like, this is important. So, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because people need support and there's people that need help. So, let's see here. Amy says, Chris, I'm so glad you have diagnosis because now you can take steps to help. Absolutely. And that's the thing. Even before I had the diagnosis, I started making steps. And the further into this we've gotten, and especially once I had the diagnosis, like, I really was able to go deep. And that's what has really changed. And I've had several people say in the last few videos on your channel, I've seen something is different about you in a good way. And it's what you're seeing is I'm getting more and more regulated. I'm getting things under control. And that's why I'm now doing my carnivore shred plan. And like I talked about in that video on Saturday, I'm starting to lose weight again. And yeah, I gained a little bit, but I'm like headed back the other way, because now that I'm regulated and I'm not living in fight or flight and I don't have cortisol through the roof, I'm not on edge constantly. And my body is not hanging on to every last bit of inflammation and anything it can get, and creating even more fat as a result of being totally dysregulated the whole time. It's really wild. It really, really is. But this is so important for people to understand. Like, you can eat perfectly and still not succeed, because food is only part of the battle. What's going on in your body and in your mind is just as important as the food. So, Brian is here. Hello, Brian, my amazing, amazing friend. You want to talk about someone who has an inspiring story? That man is a beautiful human being, and so is Cindy. The two of you guys are just wonderful. We love you guys. And Cindy says we love you guys too. Jolene says, hope to travel more in the coming year to meet more of you great people. Absolutely. Yes, it's so great to meet people. And Betty is here. Good morning, Betty. Betty is in the band as well. So glad to see you, Betty. Hope you're doing well. Terry is here. Good morning, Terry. She says, Chris is another special voiced person on the mic. Smooth with a special cadence. You know, it's really interesting. I never thought that the way that I speak is different than anybody else or the cadence is different. But I started really listening. Once I started doing this autism stuff, I started really listening to how I speak and comparing it to how I hear other people speak because I recognize patterns. That's part of what autism can do really well. And I'm really, really good at this. And I started comparing how I speak to how other people speak. And you're right. I do have a very specific cadence. And some people love it. Some people hate it. I've been told the sound of my voice makes people want to cut their jugular a couple of times when my channel is brand new. So that was an interesting one. I was like, well, if that's the kind of person you are, I guess go ahead. It was a very interesting thing. But I definitely have a different cadence. And what's interesting is in the autism community, people talk about all the time how someone will ask them what their accent is, or someone will ask them like if English is like a different language, or if they were raised by someone who English was not their first language, or like all these different commentary on your way of speaking. And it's actually, some people call it the autism accent, because apparently the way you speak has something to do with the way your brain is processing information that comes out in a way that neurotypical people hear is slightly different. And I don't think anything of it. I just kind of speak the way that makes sense to me. And then I listen back to it, compare it to what I hear other people do, and I go, yeah, I do have a different cadence. There's something different about the way I speak. And so it's kind of my Chris Cooking Nashville accent, as it were. So I appreciate that, Terry. Thank you so much for the kind words. With smooth and a special cadence is a great way to describe it. I think that's very cool. So thank you. Let's see. Maritza says, yes, please. Jolene says, yes, please on the salt. Andy is here. Hello, Ann. She says, oh, yeah, I want the salt. Denise wants the salt. Lynn wants the salt. Betty says, absolutely. So much seasoning has sugar in it. Yes, mine does not have any sugar, no junk, no anything. It is, if you can handle spices, it is spices and salt, and that's it. There is no sugar. There's no carb stuff. So as long as you don't react to any of the seasonings that are in it, there's no junk. Brian is here. Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Brian. It's good to see you, my friend. And Grandma Patricia Hoffman is here. Okay, I'm here. Did you preach yet? You know, Patricia, we're not preaching so much as discussing today because of my video on Saturday, but I'm sure I'll probably dive into preaching a little. Brother Dennis is here. Dennis, it's so good to see you. Says, how soon can I purchase some CCN seasoning? Well, I seem to have a lot of people asking for it, so we're going to look into it, and we'll see how long it takes to set that up and what kind of goes into that, because I've never done that before, so I'll see what we can do. I will see what we can do. There's Sherry. Good morning, CCN fam. Headed home in a few for my camping trip. I'm relaxed, suntan, and didn't gain any weight, even though I ate some off-plan food. That's great, Sherry. Glad you're here. John Cranky Carnivore Settler says, I hope you're not taking on too much with a new channel, Chris. You know, John, I appreciate that. The thing is with the new channel, I'm not going to be doing nearly as much like editing. It's going to be more like creative fun stuff. Also, I don't have to come up with a recipe every week to be able to do videos. That's going to, yeah, thumbs up. That is just going to be off the cuff, fun, showing you guys my life. And truthfully, in one way it is more work, but in another way it's actually more fun because it's not just about doing things everybody else can use. It's about sharing who I am. And there is something very healing and energizing and inviting about that. And because it's not a weekly recipe, if there's a week I don't want to do it, I don't have to do it. It's just going to be, I just kind of do it when I can, how I can, when I want to, when I have something fun, when I have something important to share. A lot of the autism stuff that I'm going to be sharing on this channel, I will actually be also putting on that channel. So some of the stuff over there I'm already going to be doing for this channel anyway. So I appreciate that. I appreciate you not wanting me to run myself into the ground, and I promise I won't. So I will be careful. So Maritza says, I'm still trying to find a venue here in Las Vegas. Yeah, we'd love to come play Vegas. I've never been to Vegas, actually, so that would be a fun trip. And Jennifer Lucas says, I'd love to try your season salt. It would be amazing if your introductory sale included a collector CCN guitar pick. I like that. That's a really cool idea. Maybe we can stick one to the bottle or something. That'd be cool. Yeah, we'll see what we can figure out. I think it's a really cool thing. So, Aaron says, I love the online community. However, not having the same support at home is defeating sometimes. It sucks when the ones that should have your back are the obstacles. I totally understand, Aaron. And it's, there's nothing that's a full replacement for what's going on at home when you don't have the support. But the online community and having a family like the band or, wherever you choose to go, it's at least better than nothing. And with the neurodivergent stuff, it's the same thing. This is the thing. Patterns. Autism. Patterns, okay? The support you need when you're struggling with neurodivergence and you're trying to heal from it, it's the same kind of thing as the support you need when you're struggling to change your diet and become keto or carnivore or improve your health or whatever. And if you don't have it at home, it is difficult, but it is better than nothing when you have the online stuff. But I totally understand. It's a lot. So I'm just glad you're here, and if there's any way we can support you in whatever you're going through, be it neurodivergence or any other kind of health problem or any silent battle of any kind, and changing your diet, changing your life, any of it. That is why we are here, and that's why the band exists. And just know that we love you, and you are not alone. Crystal is here. Hello, Crystal. She says, I've not been diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I'm ADD, if not ADHD. So, Crystal, this is really cool. If you're not diagnosed, but you're pretty sure, so ADD is actually no longer a term. They have added that into ADHD because they've realized ADD is actually just a different presentation of ADHD. So instead of it being on the outside ADHD, it's more of that inattentive on the inside ADD thing called ADHD, but inattentive ADHD. And that is very much what I experience as my sort of presentation of ADHD. So if you think that that's something you have, there are some self-assessments online you can do that could help you, and not that you even need a formal diagnosis per se, but if you do the assessment and go, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's it, there's a lot of resources out there for just how do you set up your life to make it a little bit easier. Like, don't do it the way everybody else does it. Do it the way that works for you. Screw the fact that other people do it a certain way. Just do the way that works for you and make it a superpower instead of a stumbling block. That's what I've been doing, and that's part of the accepting that that's the way your brain is and not seeing that as being broken or wrong, seeing it as it's just wired differently, so just work with it. That's what's so cool about all of this, and that's exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. So thank you for being here, thank you for sharing, and remember, when you are here, you are not alone. So if you want some more information about stuff, feel free to let me know, and I'll share what resources I can find. Patricia says, my granddaughter at 7 has that kind of ADHD, just diagnosed. Yeah, it's a real thing. But you know what? Knowing and then being able to work with it instead of fight against it is the key, because it's not a shortcoming. It's just a different way of working. And when you know that, you can find the good in it and you can steer around to the challenges of it. Brian says, that's great, Chris. Being able to put a name to what is going on with you will help take a mountain off your back. It will help you move forward and will improve your life. Absolutely. And that's it. I don't need to change what I am. I just need to work with what I am instead of fight against it. And that's it. And the Lord has blessed me with many talents and created me to be a certain way so that I can use the things that are unique about my brain to do things nobody else can do. Do you know why I invented carnivore mashed potatoes when everyone else thought that was nuts? It's because of my autism and my ADHD and my OCD and everything. All of it is because of my brain that I do the things that I do. And it helps other people. So yes, there are challenges, but there's also upsides. And that is for everyone's brain. It doesn't matter whether you're neurotypical or not. So Cindy putting my channel up there. That's the new channel, That Chris. Appreciate you, Cindy, for doing that. You guys go over there and subscribe if that's something you would like to see. So Patricia says, I have a lot to say about personality disorder, but I'll do that in the band. I'm mixed personality disorder means we just don't know. And there's a lot of that kind of stuff where it's like they're really not sure about a lot of this stuff. They know it's there, but what it all really is and how it susses out is hard to determine. Our brains are infinitely complex, and just understanding and being supportive of people so we can all work together to figure out how we move forward and make it better, that's the most important part. So yes, Patricia, please share however you would like to share, and we are happy to support you just like you support us. Let's see. Cindy says, when I first started keto, I was the only one in my house of 7 people. A good why and determination will get you through. Amen. Cindy's a great example of how you can do it. Betty says, there is a lot of crossover between ADHD and autism. Just recently come to the conclusion I'm most likely ADHD, which is autism and ADHD together. Not sure about some of the others, but it's possible. Betty, I'm right there with you, my friend, and I'm so glad that you just have looked at that and said, yeah, that's probably me. Maybe there's other stuff, maybe there's not, but hey, let's just start working on it, and just one step at a time, we just work together. That's what we do, and you just improve all of the things, and you don't have to fight against it, just learn to work with it. I'm really glad that you're here, and thank you for being part of the NeuroSpicy family, as it were. Janice says, yes, you spoke to me on Saturday. So many unanswered questions about myself. Now I have so many questions. And you know what? Questioning is the first step to finding answers. And even if we don't know exactly what the answers are, knowing the direction we're moving in gives you the ability to use tools and go for it and make changes. And that's exactly what I'm doing. That's why it has been so, so helpful. And I'm really glad you're here, and I'm glad we can support you in that. So, like I said, guys, the band exists, the new channel exists. I'm going to be doing stuff here, these live streams, all of it. This is all places where you can find resources and support for this, and I'm happy to share and help and support in any way that I can. So just come be a part of things, and just let me be a place where you can go and find support, if nothing else. Jennifer says, my son was so hyperactive from day one that he slept 2 to 5 hours a day for the first year. That meant that if he woke up after 2 hours, that was till the next night, no naps ever. And that is a real thing for people's brains who do this. And that's the thing, you can't sleep right, your cortisol's through the roof, you can't recover, you can't heal, you're in fight or flight constantly. It's a lot. If you can't regulate it, it is a lot. And that is why people who are autistic and ADHD and all of these things oftentimes have a significantly lower life expectancy than neurotypical people. It's not because autism and ADHD are bad, it's because living with them in a world that causes all these other things that you struggle with, which keeps you in fight or flight, that wears on your body significantly, and you tend to have a lot of health issues as a result. So that's why it's so important that we can use things like keto and carnivore, regulate, take care of ourselves, understand ourselves, and get out of that fight or flight so that you don't end up shortening your life expectancy. I don't want to have a heart attack at 50 and leave my wife behind because of constant stress and high cortisol. So I'm doing what it takes to fix it, and I'm going to try to live a long damn time as it is. So yeah, we're going to do the very best we can. Cindy says, my grandson has been ADHD since a young child. He's been on meds and does well with that. He is now 20. That's great. And I'm totally unmedicated and I want to stay off meds, but I know there are people that meds help. And I am not someone who promotes meds and supporting big pharma and all that kind of stuff. But I'm also not anti-medicine if it can really change your life. So sounds like your grandson is probably one of those people who truly does benefit from medication, and that's fantastic, and I'm glad that helps him so much. Marissa says, I have bipolar, PTSD, and probably others. I'm getting tested for more soon by a neuropsychiatrist. I'll also have seizures. Yeah, Maritza, I'm sorry that you're struggling with that, but I'm glad you're getting the evaluation, and hopefully you can get some answers, and we're here for you. I understand it's a lot to go through, but I hope that helps you out, and you're doing great. Don't give up. Keep going. John says, while being treated for PTSD that resulted from a car accident, I learned I also have CPTSD. This is the first I've told anyone about that. Well, thank you for sharing it here. That's a big deal. To speak that out loud and just share that, that's healing in and of itself, John. And I'm really proud of you for not only being able to talk about it, but being able to handle it. And you are not alone, brother. You are not alone, and you are fitting in here, and you can find support here because I'm going through it too. And if there's anything I can do to support you, you let me know. I am here for you, and together we're going to figure this out, and we're going to be all right. Very, very proud of you, brother. Janice says, at my age, 74, I don't know if any intervention is critical now. You know, I don't think if you are just used to living with whatever it is for decades, I don't think it's about intervention. I think it's about understanding how your brain works and taking where you are, implementing strategies that make your life better, and just getting even more out of your life. It's not about intervention to stop a bad thing. It's about focusing on how you can regulate and use the good things to make your life better. It's not to say your life is bad or that this stuff is ruining you. It's about how do you take things intentionally to make your life better. And you're never too old for that to happen. It doesn't matter if you've been undiagnosed and you're 100 years old. Just implement a few things, and it doesn't have to be crazy stuff. Like, you don't need meds or therapy necessarily unless you feel like that's something that would help you, but it's not really about intervention. It's about understanding yourself and being able to take whatever it is you already got and just make it that much better. Why wouldn't we want to milk the very best out of our life, right? So, yeah, I don't necessarily think you need intervention, but it might be something where you go, I just feel validated. I feel not alone in this. I feel like this is worth my time and my energy, and this is a good thing, and all of that. I think it's just it's a good thing. It's a good thing to have more knowledge and to be able to just work with your brain instead of against it. And sometimes you don't even know what you're struggling with until you take it away and you go, is that what it's like to breathe? Because I didn't think I was struggling with anything, and then I figured all this out, and I was like, holy crap, I've been barely surviving for my decades. I didn't even know. I just thought that was normal. You just don't even know until you try. So I would encourage you, don't look at it as intervention. Don't think that you need to change things about yourself. Just see it as a way to optimize what you're doing with your life, and then see what you find out along the way. Make it a journey and make it a passionate one. Maritza says, I'm in therapy. Good. I'm glad. Let us know how we can support you. Denise, easier said than done to let it go. Yeah, it really is. It really is, especially when your brain works the way a neurodivergent brain does. But we're doing it. We're working on it. Emily Esau is here. Emily, thank you so much for being here. Emily is also one of the people who has had significant conversation with me about this stuff. She's amazing, and she says, listening in a bit, currently in a lab day with my own neurospicy community. Emily, you are fantastic, and you support people who their brains do things like mine, and you do it so well. Thank you for being who you are. You're amazing. John says, I suspect I'm also neurodivergent. It bugs me tremendously that I wrote "and car accident." I started with automobile, but changed to car to save space. I feel a need to explain every error. John, I'm the same way. And to be perfectly honest with you, that may be something called RSD, which is very common with neurodivergent people. I have significant RSD. It is rejection sensitive dysphoria. And when you make a mistake, you hyperfixate on it and you feel super critical and you think other people will be too. You need to explain it. You need to run from it. You take on the trauma of it. I mean, there's a lot of places that RSD can pop up. So go do some research on rejection sensitive dysphoria and see if maybe that's something that you go, oh my gosh, that's me, because there's ways that you can really heal from that, and by intentionally knowing that it's there. And honestly, if you have CPTSD, quite possibly you have rejection sensitive dysphoria, because that sort of develops over time as a result of criticism and feeling like you don't fit in and all this kind of stuff, and it's part of what kind of creates CPTSD. So RSD, rejection sensitive dysphoria, really important to know about if you think you might be neurodivergent, so you can intentionally learn to heal and deal with those things. So you're great. I saw the and car accident because I pick up on all the details because I'm autistic. But you didn't do anything wrong. Doesn't matter anything about your intelligence or any of that. No one thinks any less of you, and it's okay for you to need to hear that if you feel like that was a mistake and now you have to explain it. It's okay for you to need to be validated. There's nothing wrong with that. I need validation. My wife is amazing and does it for me when I need it. It's okay to need some validation and to be reassured that you don't look like you're dumb or anything. Typos happen and it's all good, brother. Love you. Patricia says on the psych unit, the phrase was sit with your feelings without teaching us strategies on how to deal with our feelings. Yes, and that's the thing. Sometimes you just need assistance in knowing how. Then it's okay to need to know how. Amy says, my brain is all over the place all the time. I can get distracted easily, and I've recognized this about myself for a long time. It is very exhausting to live being me. I don't have a diagnosis. Amy, I'm right there with you, sister. I understand. I know exactly how you feel. She says, the next comment is, I've often wondered if I have ADHD, and it makes it difficult when talking to others to find my mind wandering elsewhere. Amy, you are describing inattentive ADHD, and it is exactly what my brain does. I see you and hear you, and I know exactly how that feels, and it is exhausting. So you are validated, and I totally understand you're not crazy, and it is not your fault. Maybe do a little bit of research into inattentive ADHD. Maybe do some assessments. You can do some online, and it's really helpful because then there's some strategies you can use that you're not going to fix it because you're not broken. You just have to know strategies of how to work with what you're really good at and how to steer around the things you're not so good at. And sometimes if you have, even if it's a self-diagnosis, if you can just tell people that ahead of time when you go to talk with them, just be open about it and then be like, this is a thing that I do. If I do this, so sorry, I'm not being rude. This is just what my brain does. And then people are like, oh, okay, yeah, no problem. And then they don't misinterpret. Takes a lot of pressure off of you. It's great. So yeah, check out inattentive ADHD because you're basically describing exactly what my brain does. And that's exactly what's going on, at least for me. So really, really cool. Lucky Charms is here, says a Jungian psychologist told me managing ADHD is like learning to drive a Ferrari. Yeah, I think it just moves so fast and it's hard and it's a lot of power behind an ADHD brain. It takes takes a little while to figure that out. So it's a good point. Briar Rose is here. Good morning. How are you, my friend? I love this. Amy, you're like me. Peer reviewed. Yes, Emily, you are amazing. You really are. And yes, Amy, totally agree with what Emily is saying here. You are peer reviewed. This is an amazing thing. Patricia says, John, if you were too perfect, we wouldn't love you. That's right, because then the rest of us would feel bad because we're no better than you are, and we would be like, well, why can't we be like John if he's perfect? Let's see. Betty says, grateful for Medicare. It pays for it. That is fantastic. Yes, Medicare is wonderful for these kinds of things, especially. If you have Medicare, you might be able to get this covered no problem. So unfortunately, my insurance as a self-employed person just did not help. So, this is why a lot of people do self-diagnosis and why it's so accepted, because it's so difficult to get a diagnosis. Even very well-trained psychologists sometimes have a hard time figuring this out because when you're high masking, it is hard, especially when you're older, to see it and to figure it out, because someone who's so good at masking and has been doing it for so long, it's hard to turn the mask off so people can actually see what's going on inside. It's hard sometimes even for you to recognize it. So, John, thank you for the smiley face. We all love you. Kelly is here. Hi, Kelly. Says, Chris, I just listened to your last video and you're going to be able to help even more people now. I'm so sorry you've had to go through that, what you have in your brain. Well, Kelly, thank you. Yeah, it's been a lot, and, I don't want anyone to feel sorry. necessarily. I appreciate it very, very much, but I sort of look at it, and I've often wondered with my weight that I was like 400 plus pounds, and some of the things I've dealt with, it's like, why do I have to go through this? And I sort of look at this with my brain, but then I go, but look at the platform I now have to help people. I had to go through the weight, and I've had to go through the struggle of finding this diagnosis, because by me going through it, I can help other people. And sometimes you have to walk through fire to help other people know how not to get burned. And that's what I'm here for. So I appreciate it so much, Kelly, and I really appreciate you being here and your support. And it means a lot for all of you guys to be here. So Amy says, I agree. Chris sharing his story will only help others. Well, thank you. I really hope so. And Ellen is here. Hello, Ellen says, hey kids, how are you today? Jennifer says, now that you have appropriate diagnosis codes, might it be possible to refile the claims in hopes of some reimbursement? Maybe. I'll have to look at it and kind of see. It's weird the way that they did it when we talked with insurance. Insurance basically said we should, have been covered for some stuff, but then when we did it, like they came back and they're like, oh no, we don't cover stuff like that, like just flat out. So I don't know. We might look into it and see, but at this point, it kind of becomes how much time are you going to spend fighting with insurance when you could be doing other things after we've kind of already paid for it? And like, I'd love to get the money back, but insurance makes it so difficult. And it's like, this is why it's best to try to stay out of the hospital if you can, guys. Bri Rose has a good question. What are the practical things you do to combat the cortisol so you can lose weight that does not register as more stress? Great question. So there's a handful of things that I'm doing. And this is all a very large stack of things that kind of work in tandem. It's all designed specifically for me, for my brain, so it may not work directly for everyone. And I'm not a doctor, so there's not medical advice. This is just, here's what I'm doing. So first of all, when I get up in the morning, the very first thing I do, because I've got to get my brain working, and dopamine and all of these regulation hormones in the brain, I struggle with. So I have to set my brain up to be able to do that to the very best of its ability. So the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is I go downstairs. I drink electrolytes. Very first thing, because I need to hydrate immediately. Electrolytes are very important for the brain and for regulation. And getting rid of cortisol, a big part of that is learning how to regulate so you stop creating so much. Electrolytes first thing, I'm using methylene blue. Not saying anyone else should. That's what I'm doing. I'm adding methylene blue to my electrolytes. I'm using creatine, just a little bit of creatine, about 3/4 of a tablespoon. It's roughly about 5 grams or so, I think, of just creatine monohydrate, unflavored creatine mixed in with my electrolytes. That is a methylation precursor. So it helps set up the methylators in your brain, which help you do things like make dopamine and regulate and take care of your cortisol. I take a methylated folate. I'm eating liver on a daily basis, but I want to make sure I'm getting enough of the folate because that really helps in the brain. And I'm taking TMG, which is trimethylglycinate, I believe. TMG, that's another precursor to the methylation process in the brain. So I do all of that first thing in the morning. Then I have my coffee, which, because I'm doing my carnivore shred thing right now, has no cream or anything. It's black salt. That's what I'm doing with my coffee. I sit outside when I have my coffee. I'm getting natural light, fresh air. I try to get into the sun because that's really, really good. So I also have added some light physical activity. Like I'm not killing myself here, right? I'm just walking after dinner. Ash and I take the dog for a walk. Just enjoy it. You know, it doesn't, don't stress your body out. Just go be physical. Just burn off some energy in an appropriate way. Then, before bed, I take glycine, which is an amino acid, which helps really settle the brain. I do vitamin D. I'm supplementing vitamin D because vitamin D regulation in neurodivergent brains is hard. And if you don't have vitamin D, you're not going to be able to regulate cortisol because you're going to feel like crap all the time. So I take vitamin D. It's a D3K2. You want the combination. So a D3K2 supplement at night. You can take it during the day too. I just take it at night. But vitamin D3K2. I take a magnesium glycinate. I take ashwagandha, which helps reduce cortisol specifically. Just for me, that seems to really be making a difference. And you have to build ashwagandha up over time. It doesn't happen within like a day or two. It takes weeks before it really builds up in your system and starts really overall reducing cortisol. It's a slow acting thing. And I'm only taking one pill, so it's a small amount. But I take ashwagandha and magnesium, ashwagandha, D3K2, glycine, and I feel like I'm forgetting something. Anyway, but I'm doing all of that. And L-theanine. L-theanine, that's the other one. So the ashwagandha, the L-theanine, and the glycine are all reducing cortisol and helping my brain calm down so I can sleep better. And that's the thing you have to figure out. How do I calm the brain so I can sleep and recover? Because that's when you recover from all that cortisol. And then when you take the right amounts of things and you get everything regulated, your body doesn't spike your cortisol so much. And exercise, even if it's just light physical activity, is one of the best treatments for autism, ADHD, high cortisol, any of it. So that's what I'm doing on top of my diet, and it's making a massive difference. So I'll do a video at some point where I'm talking about here's all the things I'm doing in a day, and I'll put links and everything for you guys. But that morning stack of the methylene blue, creatine, folate, and my electrolytes, and then the evening stack of the L-theanine, the magnesium glycinate, the glycine powder, just pure glycine, just put it in water, and vitamin D, that all bringing my brain down in a calm way, and the ashwagandha for helping reduce the cortisol. That combination of things over the last month has made a massive difference for me. It is fantastic. I don't know if it will for anybody else, but for me, that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm just kind of working and experimenting to make it even better. So, and then of course your diet matters massively. So Ellen says, I think you would be great on Audible reading books or radio voice. Thank you. I appreciate that. I actually used to do a little bit of voiceover stuff when I was in college for people for like projects that they had, like recordings. I went to Belmont University, and they have like a whole recording and marketing department and all these things that, you know, they do degrees in recording and, you know, recording technology and like commercials and marketing and like all this kind of stuff. And so I had several people ask me to do voiceover stuff because I speak really clearly if I'm being intentional about it. So I appreciate that though. Betty says I put people to sleep. Not good for a preacher. Betty, I can't imagine you putting people to sleep. You're fantastic. Regardless of how soothing your voice might be, you wouldn't put people to sleep. You're too nice for that. People want to pay attention. Cindy says, my younger son's girlfriend is a form of mutism that they feel is another form of autism as well. Yeah, and mutism will come along with that too. Sometimes your brain starts to get overstimulated and it just like turns off your ability to speak. That's a real thing. Briar Rose says, I appreciate that all your words are enunciated and punctuated well, like clear and strategic. Yes, my mom is also an English teacher, and that was a very important thing in my house. So, yeah, I appreciate that. It's really cool. Cindy says, Salt by Chris. Of course. Love it. Francois is here. Hello, your live stream just popped into my feed. Love from Belgium. Well, thank you for being here. I'm so glad you're here. Let's see. Maritza says, I already subscribed to, I think she means that Chris. Thank you so much, Maritza, for subscribing. And there's my brother Keto Simple, Dustin. Good morning, almost afternoon, friends. Good morning, Dustin. How are you, buddy? Maritza says, oops, Chris, yes. Lynn says, Salt by Chris would be a good name for his salt. Yes. Ellen says, Chris salting Nashville? Yes, I don't know about salting Nashville, but I'll salt your steaks for you guys when you buy some of it, so. And let's see, Patricia says that Chris, Dancing in the Rain. That Dancing in the Rain thing that Ash and I did that I put up as a little short, that is a really, really good example of just being passionate and loving your life and the kinds of things I want to share on that, Chris. Longer form, like all kinds of stuff. It's all going to be either really helpful, maybe deep stuff, or fun, or passion, or quirky. Like it's just going to be me and the ridiculous things I do on a daily basis. So let's see. So Briar Rose says, what does inattentive mean? So there are two main categories of ADHD that they recognize as ADHD. There's hyperactive, which those are the kids that like can't sit still in school and they run and they're screaming and they're throwing like, like the hyperactive thing. Inattentive ADHD means you look a lot calmer on the outside, which is me. But on the inside, your brain is like squirrel, like that. But it's all on the inside. It doesn't come out as hyperactivity. That's what inattentive ADHD means. So, and they've recognized what used to be called ADD is actually just a different presentation of ADHD. That's why they don't say ADD anymore. It's all ADHD, but it's different categories and presentations of ADHD. So, yeah. Deborah is here, says this grandma doesn't know what I am, but I'm something. Already subscribed to your new channel. Well, Deborah, I am glad you're here, and whatever you are, we love you just the way you are, and I'm so glad you're here. And Lynn makes a great point. God doesn't make mistakes. You're perfect as you are, Chris. Lynn, I appreciate that, and I agree. He does not make mistakes, and I am the way that I am because that's what he needs me to be, and that's how he's going to use me best. So praise the Lord for making me who I am, and Christ says that I am perfect because of him, not because of anything that I could ever do. So he made me the way that I am, and then he redeemed me of all of my imperfection. And I still struggle with my human side, but it is because of him that I have an eternal future. And in the meantime, using all the unique things that God made me to be is how he can use what I am to help other people who need it as well. So that's why it's a blessing that I have what I have and struggle with certain things and find special superpowers in others. So thank you so much, Lynn. And that's a wonderful thing you pointed out, and you're very right. Briar Rose, in trying to make sure the sausage patties were done, I burned the second side. Oops. I'm not a bad cook at all. Apparently just going for texture. Hey, I love it. And listen, there ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of extra brown on one side. It's all good. It's all good. Still sausage. Enjoy it. Let's see. The more I'm listening, the more I see Wren-like music coming. Born of Suffering. I like that. I'll have to look that up. Let's see. Deborah Peters is here. Hi, Deborah. Good morning from Middle Tennessee. Well, you're not that far from us, I guess. It's good to see you, Deborah. Really glad you're here. Crystal says, oh, wow, thank you. You are welcome, Crystal. Jennifer says, docs didn't find meds appropriate for my son. However, the public school system seemed to think they could prescribe. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. Now, I'll tell you guys, I got my diagnosis, and the day that I got it, after we got off the telehealth meeting with the psychologist and they gave us all the final information, Ash so her phone number is the one they call because, again, she's good at executive function. I'm not. So she's like my representative when they call for things. And I want you guys to understand, I'm not against meds for people who really need it. But when you are regulated and you don't need meds, there's no point to add them in. This is a good example of how the modern medicine thing is all about prescribing things. They called her phone 7 times trying to get her to put me on medication. 7 times. And she kept saying, no, we're not doing that. Are you sure? No, we're not doing that. Are you positive? We're not doing. Why would I go on meds if I'm regulated without them? If you need them because you can't regulate, yes, absolutely. It may be an intervention that can really help save your life. Absolutely. But it's like, I'm doing really well. I'm feeling great. Why would I go on all these meds? They wanted me on meds in traditional therapy at least once a week. And they said after insurance, the meds are going to cost about $1,000 a month. Plus it's going to be I think it was $200 a session or maybe it was $100 a session. It was going to be like $400 a month in therapy. They wanted $1,400 a month to put me on meds and put me in therapy that they said in 6 months to a year you'll start seeing a difference. This is why a proper human diet lifestyle and advocating for yourself and knowing how to handle this stuff without just jumping down the road of psychotropic drugs is a really good thing. Some people need it, and I'm not anti-medicine, but only for people who need it, and only if other things are not working. But it's a good example of the state of the medical system right now. Thankfully, I'm so grateful to Dr. Barry and this whole community. So thankfully, I am very, very fortunate that I knew to say no to those meds and regulate myself with my diet and exercise and some simple supplements. And if I really need the meds, sure, but I don't right now. Hopefully I never will. So it makes a lot of a difference to know and to understand. And that's why I'm getting the word out there. Betty says, exactly. I was 68 when I was diagnosed with ADHD. I'm 73 now. I'm unmedicated. Just knowing about the ADHD has made a huge difference in my life. Knowing is half the battle, folks. It really is. Brian, looking past what other people say, judge, and feel about you is the only way you can heal yourself and move forward. You are the only one that can fix yourself. Life is a beautiful gift. I totally agree. And when you understand what you're going through, it makes a huge difference. So, advocating for yourself. It's a big deal. It helps so much. Let's see. So, Denise says, is CBT therapy, it's cognitive behavioral therapy, helpful? Maybe. It depends on the person. I am not in cognitive behavioral therapy. I'm in a completely different kind of therapy. But for some people, it may be. Some people I've seen in the autism community say that this has helped them, and some people say it's like not at all. I think you just kind of have to do some research and see if you think it would be helpful. But I'm going to share with you guys more about the therapy I'm in the future, and I'm actually going to talk with the guy who's doing it because we're ambassadors for a company, for a nonprofit called 220, and it's all about veterans and first responders who have PTSD and all this kind of stuff. The guy that I'm working with, Justin, was a veteran with PTSD, went in after years of therapy that did not work. Like 17 years of therapy that did not help him. He went in and did this kind of therapy with 220. One session changed his life, and he's never been triggered since. That's why he now volunteers and is like massively involved with it. We're ambassadors. Ash told him about my diagnosis and the CPTSD and these other things, and he said, my son is autistic, I'm ADHD, this has helped us, let me do this for Chris. And so that's the therapy that I'm in. I've done 3 sessions. I'm doing 1 more, and I'm basically done. And it has completely changed my brain. So I'm going to talk with him about other places people might be able to go to get this, and then I'm going to share with you guys more about it. But I am very convinced that it may just be the best thing for anyone going through any of these things. So I will share more. But it is possible. Maybe the CBT therapy is helpful for others. I don't know. I haven't done it myself, but what I'm doing right now is making such a massive difference. Betty says, as my ADHD niece put it, we all just thought it was normal because so many family members have had it. Yes. Emily, one of my students calls it being powered by AA batteries, autism and ADHD. I like that. That's really good. Maritza says, I noticed that eating keto carnivore has been a big help. Me too. John says, thanks, Chris. That sounds spot on. You're welcome, brother. You are welcome. Okay, I really like this. Betty says, RSD is the pits. I used to explode in rage when I couldn't get my thoughts across to people. I don't deal with it so much now that I understand it. Yes, you get severe hanging on to the trauma and the criticism, and then you don't know how to regulate, and then sometimes you explode in anger, especially with ADHD. That's a real common ADHD thing, and you don't know why. Your brain is so dysregulated, but when you know about it, you can handle it and you can let things go let things go, right? But you can do the things that helps you let things go and not just blame yourself for all of these emotional things that are going on, but you regulate it and you actually deal with it on a here's the root cause kind of level, and then you can get control of it and you can live way beyond it. And it's really fantastic. I used to do the same thing, Betty. Ellen says, RSD is so me. Used to be a copy editor in medical transcription. Made myself crazy, but I can see the typos from 100 yards. Yeah, and the thing is, the typos and stuff are one thing, but the RSD thing of like, you fear other people being angry at you and you're going to get fired and everything is wrong and you crumble under the pressure and everyone hates me and all like these crazy things in your brain from the RSD because there's a typo in something. I mean, that's hard to live with. It really is. Annette is here, says, you are describing my husband. Well, Annette, thank you for tuning in and thank you for sharing. If you haven't, please watch my video from Saturday where I talk about my diagnosis and stick around because I'm going to have some resources. They might really help your husband. They really, really might. So, and if you have questions, let me know. I'm happy to help if I possibly can. So, let's see. Deborah says, are the online assessments reliable and are there usually costs associated with them? Deborah, great question. So the online assessments I'm going to share are essentially just shorter versions of the same assessments you do with the psychologist professionally. So they're just like at-home, smaller versions. And it's like, if you score high here, it's likely you'll probably score high when you go do those assessments. They're free. They are completely free. You don't have to pay anything. You just do it. It gives you basic feedback, and it's just an indication of if you want to get a professional diagnosis, this is an indicator of why maybe you would want to. Or if you don't want to do a professional diagnosis, you do it and you go, nope, makes total sense to me. There's my home assessment. I'm just going to self-diagnose and just operate as such so I can fix these things in my life. You can do that too. That's very accepted in the neurodivergent world because it is so hard to get this done professionally. So the assessments are pretty reliable. I mean, they're not foolproof. Like, it's a thing that you have to really be honest in these assessments. The one thing I will say that is hard, if you have been masking these things all your life, when you take the assessment, you have to be very intentional. So if you or someone you know is going to do this, remember this. You have to be intentional about answering the way you would truly and honestly answer if you weren't trying to live up to what society expects. Because you can look at the answer and go, oh, well, this is what I should say because that's right. That's not what it's asking you. If you go, well, this is what I would say if nobody would judge me for saying it, that's the answer you have to put. And you have to be intentional about not masking in the test because it's very easy to put what you think you should instead of what you would actually feel. So if you're going to do those assessments, you have to be intentional. But they are free and they are well designed because they're just a smaller version of the official tests that they use. It's all based on, at least the ones I did. And I'll share with you guys in a video in the future which ones I did and how to do it. And I'll give you links where you can go and find them and, make sure they're free and the whole thing. So, Briar Rose, ADHD is a series of forgetting and remembering many times. It's best to put things on a list or do things right away when it comes around to your present mind. So proactive, no one is the wiser. Yeah, that's a way of dealing with it for sure. Works for some people. Sometimes it doesn't work for others. You have to figure out how it works for you. But knowing and intentionally trying to work with it is the key. Well, hello, Nisha. How are you? Oh my goodness. What an amazing human being. If you guys don't follow Nisha, you really, really need to. Nisha is honestly one of the first people that knew about all of this stuff because we shared with her when we were getting ready to start doing work in the tribe. We shared with her kind of this being the way my brain works, and especially I communicated with her and with Dr. Barry how much the work they do has made a difference for my brain, and also how much their kindness and support has meant to me. Because we look up to their example We love them and we appreciate their friendship and their support in ways that I don't think I could ever put into words. And truly knowing Nisha and Dr. Barry has changed my life in a way that I don't know that I can accurately describe. And the very fact that I'm here doing a live stream talking with you guys about this stuff is very, very, very much in a huge way thanks to them and the work that they do. And that is why I would jump in front of a bus or in front of a bullet for either of them. And I appreciate you guys, and we love the both of you, and thank you for everything that you do. So if you don't subscribe to Nisha, where have you been? What are you doing? So make sure to go over to Nisha's channel and subscribe, because she shares really great information, and what amazing human beings. That's just the best way I can put it. So Nisha, it's really good to see you. I'm so glad you're here. And I'm going to get a whole pork belly, by the way, and I'm going to make more of that taco bacon that I made for you, and I'm going to have a whole pork belly of it for you the next time we know we're going to see you. I'll just make it, I'll seal it up and freeze it, and then next time I get to see you, I'll make sure to bring it with me. So I was going to say next time I see Dr. B, like if you're not able to attend something that he's going to be there, I'd give it to him, but I'm afraid he might eat it before he get it to you, because I know how he eats things and doesn't share sometimes. So I'll make sure to get some more taco bacon for you. Jennifer says, I'd really like a link for the assessments. In my family, there was so much neurodivergence, I learned to push down all my personal suspicion. Yeah, Jennifer, I will make sure to do a video very, very soon with the actual links to the stuff that you're doing. So thank you for just being open about how you feel about this, because this was me too. When you go do them, really make sure, though, that you answer them honestly. Just answer them honestly, not how people expect you to answer, but how you really should answer. Okay? And I'll make sure to get that video done soon for you guys with the links. I think that's probably the very next video that I should do, it seems like. So, Briar Rose says, hi Nisha, was just thinking of you. My daughter just dropped an egg on the counter like in your last video. Love it. Nisha had a video where she showed how to do all these different things with bacon grease, and I think that was the one. She dropped an egg and she just laughed, and I was like, what a great example of like how it really is in the kitchen when you just doing something and then you drop an egg and it makes a mess and you're like, oh well. She just laughed it off. Nisha handled it so well. And then she was smart enough to leave it in the video too, because people love seeing stuff like that. I think it's awesome. Let's see. John says butter helps when you're a nutter. John, you're not wrong. And that's the thing with the carnivore shred thing that I'm doing. You know, people have asked me, like, is it PSMF? Is it like low fat, any of it? I don't believe in the whole low fat thing. If it works for you, that's great. I'm being very intentional with my fat. So it is lower fat at times, but then it's more fat at other times because my brain needs the fat. It makes my brain so much better. So it is very important. But yeah, John makes a great point. Butter helps when you're a nutter. That fat can really be good for your brain. So if one of you guys out there is struggling with any of these things that you feel like I'm talking about, like it's you're trying to get your brain regulated, step number one is add some fat. The weight loss, we'll deal with figuring that out later, but you got to regulate your brain first. And if you don't get your brain regulated, how are you ever going to be able to get your body under control, right? So that's what I did. I was doing a lot more fat. I was using more dairy. I was doing all this to regulate my brain over the last 6 months first. Then when I got regulated, I got my diagnosis. I started doing all this and I did some more research and I got things leveled out. Then is how I was able to start this carnivore shred thing, and that's why I'm down 15 pounds. So one step at a time, do it in the right order, and use that fat intentionally up here. Good point, John. Terry Sue's got to go. Have a good day, Chris and all. Terry, have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Sandy says is here. Sorry I missed so much. We'll replay. Well, that's all right, Sandy. Just glad you showed up and said hello to us. Appreciate you. JNS, husband, myself, children, and grandchildren all have elements of all these letter brain functions. It appears all of us are very successful individuals. And that's an important point. Just because you have a diagnosis and letters after your names and all these things, it doesn't mean you're not intelligent, doesn't mean you're not successful. Just means your brain works a little different, and it's okay. Learn to work with it. That's all you got to do. All right, we're gonna try to wrap up with a few more comments here, guys, because I don't want to keep everyone on like forever. But here we go. Terry says the egg drop was the best of that vid. Cracked me up when she called the dog to fix it. Yep. Hey, I don't pick anything up off the floor if I don't have to. If the dog can eat it, makes it easier. Brian says, working with what the good Lord has given us every day, accepting and using the knowledge that we have at our fingertips to fix this beautiful life. Amen. That's why God gave us brains that we can use to learn things. Breyer says, oh, besides taking electrolytes and fatty caffeinated coffee, I have an electrolyte spray I spray on my face. Interesting. I'll have to look that up. That's interesting. JNS, we all just never knew we had letter brains. Absolutely. Milady Laugh a Lot is here. Hi, Andy. I've got your number. I'm going to send you a message. Hey, Chris, glad to hear more about your diagnosis and healing methods through carnivore. Yeah, I'll send you a message, Andy, and we will chat. I'm happy to help any way I can. So, and let it go is about as helpful as calm down. Not at all. I agree, Ann. It's a great point. Let's see. Breyer says, I want to get sunshine and grounding first thing, but since my children don't want to, I would need someone to push me out there, which isn't happening. I understand. Just get it when you can. Even if it's not first thing, get it as soon as you can, and just get it whenever you can. And it really makes a big difference. So, Milady Laugh a Lot, Andy says, I did something drastic. Got off social media, took care of my brain and mood, found another happy place instead of doom scrolling. Good for you. I'm trying to put my phone away as much as I can because doom scrolling, especially with ADHD or neurodivergence of any kind, becomes a big deal. There's Paola. Hey, Paola, how are you? She says, hiya, Chris. Good to see you, my friend. Andy says, I don't consider YouTube social media. It's my community. Yeah, YouTube has a different sort of a vibe, and if it doesn't become a problem for you and you can keep it in there, go for it. I also learn a lot from YouTube, so it's important for me to actually regulate a lot of times. Good voice for singing too. Thank you. Sandy, I learned about social mutism and thought, oh, that's what this has been all these years. Yeah, that's a really interesting one. If you guys feel like you can't speak in certain social settings or when so much is going on, you have a hard time speaking, go research mutism and specifically like social mutism, that kind of stuff. It's interesting. It might help you out. Jennifer, I wonder how all of this is associated to MTHFR mutation, which impair methylation and purging toxins. There's actually a lot of crossover, it seems. I have not been tested for that, but I may in the future. So, Rick is here. Greetings all, listening while I work. Good to see you, Rick. And there's Thomas, Target Prime Rib. Hello, Chris. Hey, Thomas, how are you, my friend? Janelle, LOL. Therapy and meds sounds typical of the medical institution. Yes. And so for some people, it's necessary if they're really bad. But when you're regulated and you're doing well, and you just need to understand it so you can go even further, why would you just push this? And that was the problem. 7 phone calls in a single day. Just they'd hang up and then they'd call back. Are you sure? Hang up. Call back. We really think. Stop pushing meds. If they really needed, yes, but I'm doing good. Leave me alone and stop trying to put me on meds. 7 phone calls, intimidation. Who's being manic now? You are their goose that laid the golden egg. That's right. And unfortunately, that's why the medical institution is what it is, and it's why we need to have knowledge and spread the word that if you need the medicine, okay. But if you don't take it just because a doctor in the medical world who's been taught to do this is telling you should. Be your own advocate and take care of your own health. Carrie says, hey, Chris, for the price of a round ticket to Nashville and a steak, I'm open to coming to you just once and lay hands on you in the name of Jesus. Carrie, I appreciate that very much, and I'm glad you are here. We'd love to have you in Nashville. And Jennifer says, don't fight being neuro-exceptional. It's not necessary to fit our cookie-cutter world expectations. Amen. You just be who you are and enjoy it. Just make it work. That's all it is. Lucky Charm says, decades of talk therapy that kept me disabled. Advice to newbies. For the love of God, find a therapist who has recovered from it like his. P.S. Giving myself CBT gave me a purpose to go on. I love it. Thank you for sharing your story. And I agree. Find someone who truly has been through things and knows how to help you. That's why I'm going to share with you guys when I figure out maybe another place that's not just veterans and first responders that would apply to the world at large, maybe that does this kind of therapy. I'm going to talk with Justin, the guy that I do this with. I'm going to see what he knows. When I find that, I will share it with you guys because it is life-changing. Shay Wolf is here. Hello, Jennifer. That is an important message. Our society was created by neurotypicals. It was, but you know what? Neurodivergents are the ones that have truly changed the world. So it takes all of us. We all have to work together. As long as we understand each other, it's great. Jennifer, as a toddler, we had to play with multiplication flashcards. Challenging his brain was so helpful. My son is now 47. Carnivore has made a huge difference in his ADHD. That's awesome, and carnivore does make a big difference. Shay Wolf, hi, Masker here. Hello, Shay Wolf. Me too, my friend. Me too, but I'm really glad you're here. You can always feel free to be here. Know you're not alone, and you can take off the mask here. Debbie, are the assessments same for kids or different? I think there are some assessments that are specifically targeted to kids. Kids, it's a little bit different because they're so young, they haven't necessarily learned to mask, and they also don't read at the same level a lot of times that these assessments are written. So for kids, there's probably some different ones. I'll see if I can find those too. So there's Janelle dropping in Nisha's channel. You guys go subscribe to Nisha. Y'all know Dr. Barry is amazing. Yes, but Nisha is also just as amazing, and the two of them together are changing the world in ways that most people would never imagine. So, Marty Crumb says taco bacon. I need that. Yeah, I might have to do a recipe video. So maybe Nisha and I could get together and do a little recipe video for you guys sometime, if she'd be down for that. She's super busy, so no pressure, and I know she has 1,000 things to do, but maybe we could do something like that for you guys. It's a lot of fun, and it's real good. Carrie says Nisha shares stuff that changes lives, even older lady lives. Absolutely, she does. And there's Nisha's bacon grease video. You guys make sure to go watch that. Give her all the support. Jennifer, in the 90s, I ran across assessments ongoing. At the moment, Hubs was just annoyed enough with me that he answered me honestly. He didn't know I was doing his online assessment. It was very accurate. It can be if you answer honestly. Janelle says, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons. Yes, please. And please go to subscribe in that link that's in the description box for the new channel, That Chris, if you like stuff like that. If you don't, that's cool. Don't subscribe because then it ruins the algorithm. But if you do like crazy, quirky, see who I am behind the scenes, all that stuff, please go and subscribe to that because it's going to be a lot of fun. Kimba's Corner says, great chat this morning. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Kimba's Corner. I'm glad you were here. Sandy went through so much of the prescription pressure with Sun back in the 90s. Thank you for the stream and for sharing. You're welcome, Sandy. Thank you for being here. Holly Springer's here. There's definitely something with sugar and the ADHD. Tried ADHD meds about 20 years ago, and I knew the moment my 12-hour med wore off because I would start craving sweets. Yeah, it's there's something going on there. I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, it's a wild thing. Rick Charger Mopar is here. I'm still trying to get the living room studio rewired. What a mess. Well, have fun with that, Rick, and thanks for tuning in. Betty, been great this morning, Chris. Really enjoyed it. Thank you, Betty. And Jennifer says, Chris Unmasked. Yes, and that's basically what That Chris is going to be all about. So, well, guys, we are caught up. Thank you so much for being here. I hope this has been informational. There's going to be a lot more stuff coming about the neurodivergent side of everything. Hopefully some resources that will help you, things that will just give you more insight into this, and maybe it'll make a difference for you, someone you love, someone you're friends with, whoever. I just appreciate you guys all being here. And Jane UK just popped in. Hi, all. I'm late, so I have Windows. Back to the beginning, I think. Jane, I hope you enjoy this when you see it on the replay. You guys have a wonderful day. Subscribe to That Chris, which is linked in the description box if you would like, if you like that kind of stuff. If you have not, watch the video I put out on Saturday. If you're like, what the heck are we talking about? Where did this all come from? Watch the video I just put out on Saturday and leave me a comment over there. And thank you guys for being here. I love all of you guys. Thank you for giving me a space to belong and to be myself. And make sure to go subscribe to Nisha. She popped in today, and it was very sweet for her to say hello. And she and Dr. Barry are doing amazing things. So go support everything they do. And we will catch up with you guys very, very soon. This is Chris Cook in Nashville. You guys eat your meat, love your life, and remember to live it loud. Be your authentic self. It's okay. I love you just the way you are, and I will catch you guys very soon. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day and a great week. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.